Greetings, EDU 573 Instructional Methods. This is Professor Nguyen. As we approach week number 3, I want to give you instructional guidance on the tasks that you need to do for week number 3. So week 3 is a busy week. And I want you to be very proactive. And I have consistently used this term, proactive, as we navigate towards week number 11, discussing about using best instructional methods to prepare or plan, implement, and evaluate instructional activities for our students. So in week number 3, there are 5 tasks that you need to do. Make sure that you make an effort to read chapters 3 and 4 that deal with effective teaching methods. Watch the video, which is a little bit outdated, but it is relevant to how we go about in response to misbehaving student. Learn about ways to address cyberbullying. So these 2 videos are very helpful as we discuss about behavior both in the classroom and online, cyberbullying that we are dealing with every single day. For example, when we present lessons virtually, we have to use breakout rooms. So sometimes students tend to take over the other students. So we have an issue of cyberbullying. Make sure that you post the PBIS matrix and discuss the matrix accordingly. And complete the first part of our written assignment, which is a lesson plan. So as you can see here, these are the 5 tasks that you need to do for week number 3. And for the discussion question, you need to make sure that for the reading task, chapter 3 talks about how we as teachers go about to foster the classroom as a learning community that the students and the teachers can coexist mutually and with empowerment. So every member of the learning community has a voice. It discusses about the qualities of teachers who are experts, referent, and legitimate, and reward leadership in order to gain trust and respect. This is very important for the teachers to do. If teachers don't have that respect from the parents and students, it is very hard for the teacher to create an environment of trust between the teacher and the student. So building rapport relationship with the students, with the parents, and the school administrators and teachers are significantly legitimate and important. Stages of group development. So the students as a whole, these are human beings. So they grow and they experience different stages of development. Create a plan, your lesson plan. Explain the role of a learning community. So chapter 3 discusses some of these components. And classroom management 2, promoting student engagement. Whether it is face-to-face or virtual, it is imperative that students are provided with opportunity to engage in the learning process. So how do we do that? We use different approaches, different theories like John Dewey, Jean Piaget, Vygotsky, different approaches like the humanistic approach to classroom management. Looking at the classroom management tradition, effectively plan, conduct, and evaluate a teacher-family conference. Having a conference is very important. And I have continuously, as a teacher in a charter school, provide conferences to parents weekly or monthly. Even though with virtual learning, my school provide face-to-face learning. So some parents are reluctant to come face-to-face, so we give them that option to do virtual conferences. But you have to plan effectively. Be prepared to answer questions that parents may have. Demonstrate intercultural competence. This is where we need to do so we can deconstruct privilege and racial tension in the classroom. So these are the issues that are presented in chapter 3 and 4. So you can have ideas in how to use best practices to include instructional methods in your lesson. And this is the video that discussing about how teachers can go about to handle misbehaving students, whether it's face-to-face or online learning. Then in the discussion for week 3, you have to create an intervention matrix where it deals with classroom management, especially how to handle students with behavioral issues. So when you have a student who trying to act out or trying to get attention, disrupt the classroom, what is your classroom management strategy? What is the school protocols for handling this kind of situation? So you have to create a matrix. No writing, you have to create a matrix with description of the steps. So there's different way for you to create your matrix. This is called the positive behavioral intervention and support matrix. And we use it at my school. So before I can send the student to administrators for intervention, have I used these strategies based on the supporting matrix to address the situation. So if I use these intervention methods according to the tiers 1, 2, and 3, I can eliminate some of the issues. This is where teachers are given the opportunity to to empower the student, to help the student identify his or her mistake. At the same time, the school given the teachers an opportunity to become empowered in their decision making. So we have to create a positive behavioral intervention and support matrix just like this. Now, try to include a visual image instead of an attached document. So it is easier for the classmate to look and to comment on the feedback instead without downloading and go back and forth in discussing the matrix. So in week number 3, you have to write a lesson plan. Now remember, I'm going to use the same lesson plan that you start for this week through the end of week number 11. So you have to do several lesson plans. So these will be the core components, the core written assignments, which are your written lesson plans. So you will use this part of the lesson plan and you add on the components. But before you add on, you need to make sure that you revise. So for this week, you have to create a lesson plan. So your lesson plan have to discuss the subject that you are going to teach. Your lesson plan has to include detail of the demographics. So when I'm talking about the demographics, I'm talking about who are your students? Where are they from? What are their abilities? What are their differences? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Do you have their socioeconomic status background? All of these factors are what we call demographics of the student population. They are important for us to consider factors as we discuss Mitch's Dodge handling of Anna's situation in the classroom. Identify at least 3 potential advantages and 2 potential challenges in teaching this mix of students who have different diverse backgrounds. Define the time necessary to teach the lesson. When do you need to teach this lesson and how long? Describe how the plan fits in a single subject curriculum or how it connects as an interdisciplinary unit. So sometimes teachers do a single subject lesson plan. Sometimes they do an interdisciplinary plan, which includes science, social study, health, reading, writing, and technology. So again, your week 3 assignment is about a lesson plan, and your lesson plan must include these components. If you don't include this component, I don't see them on your lesson plan, I cannot give you the points. If you don't have these components, you don't have the point. Do not submit your lesson plan that you wrote for your school for me to grade, because they will not address these components. So you have to write a lesson plan based on here. So as educators, we are trained, we are prepared to write lesson plans. So if you have never written a lesson plan, this is the first step. You have to follow the guidelines here. So again, at Strayer University, we are using the Strayer writing standards. If you use previous ideas and work from your previous work or courses, you have to cite yourself. Cite all sources that you use. If you don't cite, it's considered plagiarism. And you are not going to pass this course if your paper have a high percentage of plagiarized work. Now, in addition, I already posted the template for you to use. Follow the template. I'm trying to make it easier for you. So again, I want you to understand that the assignment is about writing a lesson plan where you have to include 5 components. The subject that you plan to talk, that's too easy. You have to talk about the demographic, describe the demographics of the student. You have to discuss 3 advantages and 2 challenges in teaching students with diverse background. Then you have to define the time to teach the lesson based on the resources that you have. And then you have to talk about how this plan fits as a single or an interdisciplinary plan. You discuss this. It's too easy. So, as you can see here, I provide the document already. Do not forget the cover page here. Make sure that you change your name. Make sure you have your name here. See, I already provide the work for you. So when you pull up this, you need to make sure your name go here. The date that you implement this, the time of the lesson, Is this going to be a single subject or an interdisciplinary unit? And what subject are you teaching here, right? The subject, whether it's math, or whether it's writing, whether it's English or language art. Describe the factors, okay? This is where you discuss the factor, the class size, the time, discuss the demographics here, list and describe 3 potential advantages to teaching this mix of students. There you go. List and describe 2 potential challenges in teaching this mix of students. And here's your scope. Define the time. When are you going to teach? What time? Is it going to be 10 o'clock? All right. What are the resources that you need for teaching this classroom? Describe how you're going to fit this lesson as a single or an interdisciplinary unit. So focus on this, address these rubrics. If you don't address these rubrics, I cannot give you the maximum points based on the instructional rubrics for assignment number 3. So again, let me know if you have questions about the assignment for week 3. Do not copy and paste a lesson plan from online or somewhere and submit for grading. It had to follow this format. By all means, if you have questions or need instructional support, contact me via text, calls, or email. This is Dr. Nguyen. Let me see if I forgot something. Yeah, that's it.